we have some multiple shocking updates coming out of the Edmonton Oilers this morning. Not just goaltending related, but forward related as well. And it can't get any more worse for the Edmonton Oilers, or can it all that more today on Oilers Digest, as we also set up tonight's game against the Anaheim Ducks. Lots of interesting lineup decisions and a debut, a first start, will you, for the Oilers. But we will cover that. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so. If you're part of the 75, almost 76% that haven't subscribed, folks, what are you waiting for any and all Oiler news leading up to and during the Stanley Cup playoffs and eventually free agency? But hopefully we won't have to worry about that until the last possible day of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hopefully not another Game 7 here, folks, but stay tuned here to Oilers Digest for any and all Oiler news. But without further ado, Stu's almost ready. Yes, after suffering a concussion 2 weeks ago against the Dallas Stars, it looks like Stuart Skinner might be ready to come back to the Oiler crease, according to Sports 1440's Jason Greger. He says, "My source tells me that Stuart Skinner has skated, but we don't know the extent of his skates or the date of his return. Pickard's had a great year, but if Skinner is healthy, he will be the starter come playoff time." And he followed that up this morning with, he heard Stuart Skinner skated in full gear this morning and took shots from Mattias Ekholm and Evander Kane, who headed home after he was with the Oilers on the Californian road trip. Says he's feeling good, close to returning, and we could see him play later this week at home. Of course, the Oilers do play twice at home this week, once against the St. Louis Blues on Wednesday night and the San Jose Sharks on Friday night. So if I were a betting man, I'd hope to see Stuart Skinner back between the pipes against the San Jose Sharks on Friday. Of course, concussions are very tricky. You can't rush somebody back from it, but at the same time, you have to get Stuart Skinner, ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs. But let's give some credit to Calvin Pickard over these last 4 games. So we can forget about the Seattle game there on the second half of the back-to-back, but the last 4 games, a 9-29, twice against LA and Calgary, and a 9-31 and a 9-09 against the Sharks and Knights. Not Stuart Skinner, Calvin Pickard, he had some phenomenal saves, some phenomenal game-saving saves against San Jose and Vegas, holding those teams to only 2 goals each, and he's been phenomenal, again, in relief of Stuart Skinner after suffering his concussion. In those 4 games, 88 shots against, 80 saves, 8 goals against, and a save percentage of 909, and a goals against average of 2.37, with a goals saved above expected of 0. So he's been, I wouldn't want to say average. He's been, pretty fantastic in relief. That's all you can ask for out of your backup goaltender. When you think of the fall of 2023, you didn't expect Calvin Pickard to be called up to the Edmonton Oilers, but of course Jack Campbell in his wheels coming off of that bus that sort of propelled Stuart Skinner into that starting role, and Calvin Pickard almost forcing the Oilers' hand in having to call him up. But I've loved him ever since he's been called up to the Oilers. Phenomenal locker room guy, and just a fun goalie to watch. I saw a tweet saying he played like a street hockey style of goaltending, and that's exactly what he plays. It doesn't seem like he has any style to him whatsoever. Just flails himself all around the crease, and for the most part he gets the job done. But he won't have to be between the pipes tonight against the Anaheim Ducks, as the Oilers and Ducks are playing some pond hockey at the Honda Center tonight. Should be a very interesting one. Of course, Anaheim's been an up and down team all year long. They had some promise in the first start of the season, there first half, but again, down the stretch we went, in down the standings they went as the Oilers and Ducks. 9:30 Central, 8:30 Mountain, and no sign of Trent Frederic tonight, or for tonight's game at the morning skate from Jack Michaels there. And Tony Brower from Oilers TV confirms that Trent Frederic is out, says ankle flared up in his first shift, and Kris Knoblauch followed that up with immediate return is not going to happen. So 7 minutes from Trent Frederic, and hopefully he gets some sort of relief there before the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, high ankle sprains, not very easy to come back from. Meanwhile, Leon Draisaitl will not play against the Anaheim Ducks tonight, and the Oilers will be going with 11 forwards and 6 defensemen, as they are, again, injury depleted there, so 17 skaters and running 1 forward short. And Olivier Rodrigue will make his first NHL start against the Ducks tonight. But Trent Frederic from Tony Brower said Frederic will be ready to return for the playoffs. Will he be 100%? We have no idea. But hopefully it is not that serious. And just taking a look at the lines and pairings from this morning's skate at the Honda Center here from Tony Barr, Vasily Podkolzin, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Victor Arvidsson, Zach Hyman, Adam Henrique, and Corey Perry, Jeff Skinner, Matthias Janmark, and Connor Brown, and of course McDavid slotted there, but he will not play tonight. Still waiting for him to make his return to the Oiler lineup. So that fourth line will be Kasperi Kapanen and Max Jones there. So again, the Oilers shorthanded, but hopefully they can, make a game out of it tonight and see if that depth can hold up once again for them. Did a solid job against the LA Kings, didn't score, but they held their own against one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And Tony Barr did make a note that Draisaitl took some reps with Nuge and Arvidsson there on the back end. Darnell Nurse and Jake Wallman. Hopefully that will be the Oilers' second pairing for the Stanley Cup playoffs, with Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard being their first pairing. Meanwhile, Evan Bouchard is with Brett Kulak on his left side, and then Troy Stetcher in Ty Emberson. And as mentioned, Olivier Rodrigue makes his first career NHL start tonight against the Ducks with a very interesting lineup ahead of him, so it'll be a very tough test. We saw Rodrigue make his NHL debut in the third period against the Seattle Kraken, but tonight is his first official start, so congrats to him. And he had some very basic thoughts heading into this one. Very, I don't want to say generic, that almost seems like an insult, but you know what, just the nerves from the kid. I'm excited for him. He said he's really excited. I've waited a long time for this. I feel like I'm ready, so just want to go out there and enjoy it as much as I can, but also give my best and work hard all game, and that's really all you can expect out of a rookie goaltender. Now taking a look at the other side here, the Anaheim Ducks. Again, no matter where they are in the standings, 74 points compared to Edmonton's 93. Anaheim is leading the season series 2-1, winning 5-3 and 6-2 over the Oilers. Meanwhile, the Oilers, there was a Leon Draisaitl game-winning goal with, I believe, a minute and 30 left there. That got the win against the Ducks on January the 3rd. So hopefully the Oilers can even up the season series tonight against the Ducks at the Honda Center. Just taking a look at their lineup: Frank Vetrano, Ryan Strome, and Troy Terry, Katagochier, Leo Carlson, Alex Killorn, Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, and Sam Colangelo, and Nikita Nesterenko, Isaac Lundstrom, and Brett Leeson. So, on paper, not a bad team. Lots of youth with, Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, and Nikita Nesterenko and Isaac Lundstrom. Again, lots of young faces on this Anaheim team. Hopefully they are not scary down the road there. And just taking a look at their back end, Jackson Lacombe, who's having himself a fantastic season with Radko Gudas and Pavel Minchikov and Drew Hellison and Oliver Shillington, the former Calgary Flame, now with Olin Zellweger on his right side. And between the pipes tonight, the fellow 2018 drafted goalie alongside Olivier Rodrigue, Lucas Dostal, with a goals against average of 3.07 and a save percentage of .903. Very respectable stats again on that Ducks team, and he's one of the top 10 goalies with goals saved above expected, and he's been a thorn in the side of the Oilers in recent years. So hopefully we don't see another repeat of that again tonight. And according to Evolving Hockey, the Ducks ranked 30th in expected goals and shot attempts at 5-on-5 this season. However, their offense has come alive lately, ranking among the top 5 teams in both goals and expected goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 since March 1st, and we saw that against the Oilers in early March there. So yeah, the Ducks, they are quickly rising to the top there. You'll have to forgive me for that one, but the Ducks and Oilers always an interesting one, no matter where these teams are at in the standings. And good news, if the Oilers beat the Anaheim Ducks and the Calgary Flames lose to the Sharks in regulation, Edmonton can finish no worse than third in the Pacific Division, which would lock it into a playoff spot. So lots to watch for tonight, not just with the Oilers, but also that Flames Sharks game. So it should be a very interesting one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments regarding tonight's game, and your thoughts regarding the whole Oilers lineup situation there. It kind of sucks that they couldn't use an emergency recall. You have to play one game with 17 skaters before using an emergency recall. So if they sat Frederick on Saturday, they would have been able to, call someone up for tonight's game. Would have been, a guy like maybe Derek Ryan, Drake Kajula. Certainly not one of the younger players, because that's not what the Oilers do. But lots of mismanagement here, especially who you spent or what you spent to acquire Trent Frederick there. Second, a fourth, and two prospects to acquire a guy who's only played 7 minutes. No disrespect to Trent Frederick at all. The guy thought he was ready, felt ready, but of course, high ankle sprains are always tricky to come back from. So I'm very interested to see what you all have to say in the comments. Folks, enjoy the game tonight. It's a late one, but that's the joy of being in a conference that is mostly teams with the Pacific or Mountain time zone. Always a late one. Always a late one. But enjoy the game tonight, folks. Let's go Oilers. Let's get the 2 points without McDavid in Draisaitl in down a man. Let's see what these guys can do with injury problems. Take care. I'm Matt.